This podcast is kindly brought to you by M&J Zimbabwe, SEPA, Soft Smart, Red Circle HLO Solutions.
Hello and welcome to your favorite podcast, which comes to you every other week, same time, same place. How are you doing? My name is Steve, and in this podcast, we give you latest business updates so that you can use the information to help you decide on the best course that your business needs to take based on the information that we give you. And we also talk about other interesting things on the podcast. And as always, I'm joined by the chief. The general manager.
Yeah.
Are you good?
I'm okay. I'm sit.
Okay, I wanted to ask a quick one before we start. Why do we wear neckties? Okay, why? Let me rephrase my question. If I ask you to show up wearing formal, why do you come in a suit and tie?
Well, it's a car. Probably it's a habit. Because I think it started off whilst in primary school, secondary school, then probably our A-level were wearing ties, and when we're also enrolled in the accounting profession, we're wearing ties. So I think it's colonization. Because I noticed that I think in America, in Europe, most of the European countries, they do wear ties, probably except for just Putin wear ties.
Yeah, it does.
It does, yeah.
A red necktie
most of the time.
Yeah.
And also, I think Donald Trump,
yeah.
red necktie as well. And that actually reminded me about Trump. You know, I was watching CNN.
Okay.
I think he's always on the news these days. Almost every day is always on the news because of those indictments. You know, he said something which was profound. He was addressing a rally. I think it's I'm forgetting the state, whereby I was saying these guys they're indicting us because they're afraid that we're going to win an election. So I was saying I've been indicted for 3 times. So I just need one more indictment for me to win this election. so I was just thinking, and I'm like, this guy is 77 years old. He could have just kept quiet. He's a multi-billionaire, probably net worth of 2.5 billion. He's got everything, and he's old. So just imagine if it was an African dad or an African brother who is 77 years old, 2.5 billion. People will be most likely to say, why do you want this trouble? Is it even necessary? So I think on Trump's issue, what's your view?
Well, it's quite interesting that despite all of the money that he has, he still wants a public office and he's even fighting tooth and nail to ensure that he gets there.
And he's hungry.
He's actually hungry.
You know what motivates me with Trump? I don't care about all these issues, his ignorance and whatever. People they call him ignorant. But do you know what? Every day when he's being indicted, he's actually gaining mileage.
In his political
yeah, because I think right now, and the GOP in the Republican is the leading candidate. There's no one is challenging him. I think his percentage is very high. I think the guy who is actually close probably is around 5%.
Yeah, probably.
So that is what is happening. That's a different every challenger, which means probably to be Biden versus Trump the next 2024 election.
Yeah,
so to me, it's not about the politics. To me, it's about how he is willing to get whatever he wants. And I think if you notice, I think that's why he's a billionaire. His mindset,
it's all within the mindset. And now that you've said it, there's a statement that I've heard some time ago that when you amass a lot of money for yourself, eventually it becomes less of the money and more about power. So maybe with Trump, it could be the case of power. But well, when you get to that other end of the spectrum, there are very few people who they've got too much money that they will now want power. Let's talk about the people who are even trying to make money. So, and between you and me, if you wanted to be, you're an accountant, I'm an engineer. I had to study engineering for me to become an engineer. You had to study accounting for you to become an accountant. So now, if you want to make money, let's talk about the study of money. And they call it financial literacy. That's what we are going to be talking about today. So yeah, share your thoughts. What do you know about financial literacy?
I think we never taught about financial literacy. From grade 1 up to university, there's nothing which is called financial literacy. Because I think the fundamentals, the basics, when you get money, what are the laws of money? I still remember just last week, my daughter sold my book, Selling Like a Vendor.
Okay.
So she sold that book for $20 and I gave her a $5 commission.
Catch them, yeah.
Just immediately after giving her $5, she had an expense. She said, Daddy, I want a kid's purse. And I'm like, okay, how much is it? And she was like, I think it's around $7, so I need extra $2. So you see now, and I was now telling you that no, when you get money, please try to keep the money. You're okay before you get $5. So it also happens to us. Right now, me and you probably have got $2,000 each. Or we've got $1,000 each. But immediately when you get $10,000, we increase our expenses. We now need to spend. Since the sofas are now bad, your suit is now old, your shirt needs to be changed. But before you got that money,
you're okay. Yeah, absolutely. And there's some bit of interesting statistics that I've come across. I've always wondered. There are people who work for their money, like you and me. We are working for our money. Whatever we get, we've earned it because we worked for it. But there are people who live on luck, like the people who play, especially the lottery guys, the guys who play lotto. So I was just doing a study on the guys who play lotto, because between you and me, we can keep the money that we have worked for because we were present in the process of building towards getting that money. So we probably know how to manage it after time. But then the person who plays lotto, they just scratch the card. There are no fundamentals, there's no background, and then they've got a winning ticket. So I was looking at the statistics and they were saying that 90% of the people who win lotto, right, they go bankrupt within 3 years. Now I'm thinking someone wins a jackpot of 45 million. How do you go broke in just a matter of 3 years? Like you were living over $1,000 salary if you're in America. But now that you've got 45 million, you go bankrupt in 3 years. So what's really missing? What's the missing link? Like you're saying, there's more stress when you get new money. What really happens? Walk me through that.
I think
what happens?
we're taught, I think we need to educate our kids. Your kids and mine are supposed to be taught that poverty mentality, the mindset which you have, which I think the millionaires or the billionaires have. We think in terms of poverty mentality. It's all about we didn't have. So when we have, we like to spend.
Okay.
When we have, we like to show off. Like even right now in this country, do you know any Indian who is flaunting their wealth?
Indians are amazing.
Do you know any white person who is flaunting their wealth? Do you know even a Binga, a white Binga?
No, I haven't come across one.
Do you know an Indian Binga?
Not yet.
Do you know a Chinese Binga?
No.
But who are the Bingas?
People of color, my race, my people.
Because why? It's now our background. It's the background. Because we are brought in the culture of scarcity. Whereby things we believe that no, I need to do this. I need to pretend. If you notice when you're eating even food, we used to say, you get what I mean? So we grew up in that kind of mindset whereby things are scarce in our lives, we don't have anything. So when we get something, we want to show off. It's all about the car which I drive. I'm not driving this car because I like the car, but I want Steve to see the car which I'm driving. When I'm dressing in a suit, it's all about pretending to be rich, not to be rich. Like rich people, they invest their money, they keep their money. But poor people, we like spending our money. That's why you notice that someone who gets $200 as a salary, immediately when you increase that salary to 1,000, they will just increase their spending mentality. The spending cycle now would actually increase. Because why? They're not getting $1,000. So to them, because why? They are used to be on zero. So they don't keep. Imagine if the guy was spending $200. Obviously, this person is living in, probably this person is renting in a 2-room house. This person can afford 3 meals a day. This person is wearing clothes. So what about if they can only spend the $200 and keep the $800? In the next 6 months, this person would have how much money. But the problem now is whenever the money is increased to us, we also increase the
Our
expenses.
expenses. Yeah. And it's very true what you're saying, because I take a personal example. I remember when I was doing my internship. Before we went for internship, my friends and myself, we were in the hostels. We were talking about how we are looking for companies that pay more, so that when we go there, we save the money,
Exactly.
buy some nice clothes, buy some gadgets. And I remember my first internship, I was getting paid $100. If I've ever been stressed, when I got the $100, that was back in 2018 thereabout.
Yeah.
The money, I still remember that was 1:1 thereabout. And I would get a lot of stress. If I would only get $50 more, I would envy. You know what? I would envy the other guys who were coming from Poly,
Yeah.
because they were given the same $100, but they were given a $50 that was coming from Zimtev. So they were earning $150, and I was like, if I could just earn $150, all my problems would be solved. And guess what? I got another internship in another company. I was now getting paid $250.
But still your problems were
I
not solved.
even got stressed even more, to the point where my spending actually got paralyzed. I actually didn't know what to spend the money on.
Exactly.
That's how bad it was.
So I think about money, it's in the mindset. It's how you are trained
Okay.
to say when you get money, what are you supposed to be using that money for? If you are getting probably, there's no reason for us to have 20 pairs of shoes. What for? You see, you've got suits, probably you need 20 suits. What for? You see. So what I've noticed, especially with our white community, they can have one jean, few shirts, but this guy is a millionaire. You see. But about us now is when we are dressing something, when we're dressing, it's all about dressing for other people. Whatever we are doing, it's about showing off.
Absolutely.
So that's why we are big spenders. Because even in a house whereby you don't receive relatives often, probably once in a while you get a relative coming into your house, you want to change your sofas. Why? You see, because why? And when you're changing the couch, what will you be saying? You get what I mean? If someone is going to enter this house, what do they think about me? If what I'm dressing right now, what about the community? What are they going to think about me? The reason why probably we're dressing in ties, in suits, are we really comfortable? Or we're doing it for the viewers?
I'm not.
Or we're doing it for other people?
I actually want to take this off.
You see, so the moment we start doing things for our own happiness, you start to see that you've got a lot of money. If you start noticing that, no, instead of cooking meat, I can rather do nyeve, I can rather do my mushroom, and I'm okay with that. I don't give a damn what my neighbors are going to say, that this guy can go for a week without cooking meat, because that's what I want. But the problem now comes when we're doing everything for someone. Whatever we're doing, a phone, you're buying an iPhone, not because you like an iPhone. You're not doing it because you like good pictures, but you're doing it because
you want people to affirm to you that
exactly.
you've
So
got
someone can just even get a malfunctioning iPhone, have it in their hands, because why? They just want a statement to show off. How many people are renting? You'll be surprised with the number of people are renting in Bordeaux Brook, paying $3,000 US per month.
If you're paying $30,000 US per month,
Yeah.
do you know you can buy 2 houses a year if you bought those co-houses?
Exactly.
They go roughly about those price.
Exactly. But it's all about trying to send the statement. It's all about trying to say, when you're going to be asked, where do you live? I don't live in Bordeaux Brook. So someone is going to be like, oh wow, this guy is living that life. But the problem is, you're giving yourself pressure. I tell you, you'll be surprised with the number of people who are driving GT6, but they're broke.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because why? They just want to send a message.
And now that you've mentioned it, it's funny that you mentioned it, because I'm now thinking about my childhood. I'm trying to figure out at what point did I get this education that I need to do things to please people. And I'm actually realizing that I remember back then when, I don't know if they're still doing it, we had what they called a fashion day or civic day.
Exactly.
Where you'd wear clothes. I would nag my father to buy me a new t-shirt and tell them those are second
This is second
like, so that mentality was always in us, that we are afraid of what other people think about us in terms of what we have. But then again, there's a group of people that's very interesting, that they will tell you that the reason why I invest in my lifestyle the way I do and try to look rich even though I'm not rich is because that's how I get money. I'm not talking about influencers, no. I'm actually talking about people who have gotten clients because they've shown a certain lifestyle and a certain level of wealth due to what they have on them. I'll give you a perfect example. I know someone who was a realtor. What they'll do is sell real estate. They would buy nice jackets that didn't even tally with the commissions that they were getting. And they would drive rented cars just to close these big deals. And they'll tell them, you know what, who do you think a person trying to buy a $300,000 house will buy it from? A guy wearing a t-shirt and a jean, or me smartly dressed and driving this nice car? That's what he was saying to me. So I don't know what our listeners think. You can always come through in the comment section before he responds, and then we'll see you after the break. Stay tuned. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and like the video, as well as share with your friends and family.
Are you struggling with inventory management? Do you want to track your stock movement from branch A to branch B? Are you facing any challenges concerning the lending cost? Or you want a supplier or a customer portal where they can get access to view their quotations, invoices, and as well as process online payments? We have got a solution for you, an online system which is called Zoho Books. You can access it at anywhere, anytime, using any gadget. All you need is internet connection. Please don't hesitate to engage with us. SourceSmart Solutions, building timeless businesses.
Right, welcome back from that short break. And before we went for that short break, I paused out a question. But if you're joining me just now, this is the podcast where we come to you weekly to give you interesting business nuggets that will help you make decisions in your business and better strategically position yourself in the market. I'm Steve, and I'm always joined by the chartered vendor. And I put him on the spot asking you, the question was, there are people who buy expensive things, or they look expensive because they say it brings them money. And I've given you an example of a realtor that they were selling real estate. And then the question they asked me was, do you think someone is going to buy a $300,000 property from a guy wearing a golf t-shirt and a pair of jeans, or me who's smartly dressed and parking in GT6, although it's rented? So yeah, that got me thinking, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's two-way. To such an extent, they're right.
Mm-hmm.
But because we're not saying you don't represent that. But we're saying we're saying turn out or not. What you're saying is, if you give yourself pressure to drive a GT6, it simply means that whenever you're going to meet that customer, you're supposed to be renting a GT6. And you're giving yourself unnecessary pressure. And you're pretending to be who you are not even. And which I think it will cause serious problems in your life. Because why? Have you ever noticed that if you think that you've got a lot of money, when you get even into a supermarket, you start getting a lot of groceries. Because you can start lying to yourself to the extent that you start even implementing those lies. You get what I mean? So there are plenty of people who think that they've got a lot of money. In the end of the day, they end up spending the little they have. So, but okay, why is that our Indian brothers are not doing the same? Why is that our white brothers are also not doing the same? I'm just asking you.
That's quite interesting actually. Because,
don't you think there's a router in India?
No, of course they are.
There are also routers here who are Indian, of the Indian race.
And some of them are white. The guy from West probably.
Exactly, he's white guy. But have you ever seen him overdressed?
Yes,
But he just dressed probably in a suit. I think he likes dressing in a formal jackets. But if you notice, he's smart, he's looking perfect. But I think, he also wears some ties some other days. But when you notice him, he's simple. And probably his jackets are very expensive. He's a rich guy. He's a multi-millionaire. But he's simple.
very simple.
But us now,
We want to look sophisticated. A price tag. We want to wear a price tag.
to the extent that you end up confusing yourself. That's why you notice that even if you notice in some of these neighborhoods, you see a two-story in Zimri Park. You can even see a two-story in Shtungiza. Because someone just wants to send a message. When you see a two-story in Shtungiza, probably the material which was used to build that house, you will never recoup that money whenever he wants to dispose that house. That's why you see that someone will end up staying in Shtungiza for the rest of their lives, because why? They've overinvested in a house. Even right now, I think we've also noticed the business. I don't know this trend which is happening nowadays. It's good. It's very, very good. I like what people are doing. But in other instances, you're actually tying up your money in a building. Like for example, M&J, we're growing. The next thing it will be, we need our own offices. Probably we're going to invest something like 200,000, 150,000 in office space. Probably we're renting 2,000 every month. It simply means we're spending around 24,000 a year. So when you're going to build our own house for 200,000, for example, it simply means that the rentals which you're going to pay compared to what we have now invested in this house, those are 10-year rentals.
And it's a sunk cost.
It's a sunk cost. What about if we invested this kind of money in a new technology to boost our business? If you notice bigger companies like Delta, Coca-Cola, if you notice those companies, you'll be surprised that they're renting. They don't even own those premises. But these companies are very big, but they'll rather what? Rent, not own a premise. Do you think even INSCO, do you think all these premises, I think you've noticed that there's now a trend whereby wherever there is a fuel or a service station, there's a KFC, there's INSCO. Do you think INSCO and KFC they are owning those premises?
Renting. They're absolutely renting.
Why are they renting?
Yeah,
Can't they afford to
they could
acquire those
they could
premises?
just buy. I think I was seeing the audited report, the audited financial report for the INSCO group. And their financials are pretty solid. They're pretty solid and they can afford to buy most of these properties that they rent.
So why are they renting?
The cost of renting.
Because why? They're dealing with, it's all about, there's something which I would do in order to please you. There's something which I would do because it makes a business sense. So we have to now say probably, because yes, you're investing in a building, 500,000, 400,000, 300,000 in a building. It's not your office. You are now the only one who's occupying all those offices. Not a problem. It's a good investment. But you're also saying probably your competitor is invested. Let's say you're in manufacturing and you're using old machinery, but you've invested in a building. But your competitor is renting, but is invested in what? New equipment, which is going probably to make him produce 30,000 bottles in a minute, whilst you're producing 10,000 bottles in a minute. Do you think you're going to stand competition in that kind of instance?
That's 20,000 more bottles.
So that's financial literacy now, because you need to make the figures are supposed to make sense before you make any decision. That's why you notice that the likes of Warren Buffett, 110 billion net worth, he's still renting. He's still renting at the same premise which is still using. I think it has been in that premise for more than 50 years. Same offices, same floor. But us now, when we just feel like we're getting to 100,000, we now have two floors. We want to change locations, we want to change everything. If we are going to change houses and change locations and change probably our clothes, the better. Us as Africans, we can even change the wives as well.
Yeah, true. I've seen a lot of people who went out on the second marriage because they made some few dollars.
Exactly, because they are like, when you're going for a function,
yeah,
you need to. There's a lady you can have whilst you're just married in your house. There's that trophy lady.
Okay, that you can take out to this.
Exactly.
That's very interesting. And now you spoke about financial literacy in the context of the business. Let's talk about it at a personal level, because I'd like to believe that before we are business leaders, we are leading families, we are leading homes, and we are leading ourselves on a daily basis.
Mm.
So how do we cascade that model down of only spending when necessary and making investments at a personal level?
Mm.
Say at a personal level, I'll have 20 bucks. How do I spend 20 bucks as someone who's financially literate? How do I spend 100 bucks? Do I go for that phone? Do I top up on my old phone and get a new phone? Do I sell my phone and top up the money? Like, how exactly do I spend money as someone who's financially literate?
Thank you so much. I think it goes back to when we were growing up, like when I was my kids, we usually have discussions with her. So she was saying to me, my teacher said, I'm not passing, I will not pass, I won't even make it. And I was also saying, oh, because I'm failing to be in top 5, does it mean that my life is going to be very bad? Then I said to you, that's hogwash. Because why? We're brought up in a life of competition. I think that's our biggest problem. We're not taught to collaborate. We're taught to compete at a tender age. That's why you notice that a 3, 4-year-old, they are already competing. They're already telling each other that our TV our TV set is bigger than yours. My dad is employed in a better job than yours, than your dad. So already we're in the mood of competing. The problem now is we get into primary school, we're still competing for number 1. We get into secondary school, we're still competing for good grades. We get into A level, we're still competing. We get into the university, it's still competition. When you're off at school now, we're not getting into jobs also. That competition is still like, I was number 1 in primary, I was number 1 in secondary. I still need to be number 1 in life. Hence, probably you're going to have pressure because there's that guy who was number 30, who is now driving a better car than yours.
He's the manager.
There's a guy who is now in number 50, who is now owning a company, and you are now even looking for a job in his company. Because why? Our mindset, we think in terms of competing. So it's not only about money. It's all about when the competition starts now, it's also going to affect our money. Because you've started competing at a tender age. Hence, you are now forced to say everything which you're buying, it's all about, okay, Steve has got that watch, but I don't have the watch. How much is that watch? Probably Steve has got a $500 watch. I need to have a $700 watch. So when I'm asking you, how much was your watch? Oh, it's $500. Mine is $700. So mine, I'm better than you. And I feel good. You see? But when you're being taught to collaborate, I think that's what our white community was taught. To say whatever you wear doesn't have any effect on your value. If you ever noticed, I've been in several gyms. Black people, Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, they've got labels. But white people, simple, plain.
Yeah.
Why? It's because it's us as black, when you wear an expensive shoe, I also want to buy that shoe. Because why? We think in terms of competing. Whatever you're going to buy, I'll also buy. I'll tell you, I noticed some other old guys, I think 60s, 50s, they're actually nagging their own children. And they're saying, just because our neighbor has built a house, you need to build that house. Then this guy was asking him like, but just the 3 of you in that house, why do you need another house? Just because our neighbors.
Yeah, I actually noticed that trend in our rural area.
Yeah.
When we bought a solar system for our parents, the other guys, they were now putting pressure on their kids to get them the solar system.
But nothing has changed.
Yeah.
They were living their normal life. And they're even probably living a better life without that solar system. But there's going to be a headache as well. When there's no sunlight, it's a headache. But they were living that life, they were okay. But as soon as you're going to buy that, you're putting pressure in the whole village. So I think when we're going to address the issue of competition, I think our schools should stop the issue of competition. If I was going to be the Minister of Education, abolish this thing called number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5.
Singapore did it.
Why can't we start working in groups, producing something which is significant as a group, working as a group, and we teach our kids to collaborate whilst they're still very young. That's why even right now, as siblings, you can start to compete again amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
You are brothers, you're sisters, but you're still competing. Because why? It's always about who is better than this one. At work, who is better? Wherever we are, in neighborhood, who is richer than this one? But it's never about competition. End of the day, it's a mission. That's why you see 45 grown-up men, 45 grown-up ladies are still competing. So when we address the issue of competition, we can address the issue of financial literacy. Now, when someone has got a $20, when they don't think in terms of competing, they don't care whether you have got $1,000. It's yours. You're going to spend it the way you like. When I've got my $20, I'll spend it according to what I have. When I've got a $20, I know that probably I need bus fare, I need school fees. On my $20, I can learn to budget my $20, and whilst I'm working hard in order for me to reach $1,000. But when I now have pressure, just because someone has got $1,000, I need to also spend like someone $1,000 with the $20. I'm not putting myself under pressure. Hence, that's why we've got a lot of poor people who wants to look like rich people. That's why we now have fake Nike, fake Under Armour, fake Gucci, fake weave, in order because we've got a big category which wants to look like rich people. Right now, I don't want to bash our ladies. I like them very much. That's why you see that we've got even pressure to look like white people.
Yeah, true.
Hence, all those
The
extensions and everything. Because why? It's always under pressure. Because someone is wearing a makeup, I should be wearing a makeup. Even if it doesn't suit you, you want to do it because someone is doing it at home.
Yeah. Those are some very powerful sentiments, and you know, you were actually hitting home when you were running on those issues. You know, I figured that competition is very expensive. When you compete, the expenses of competition, they are too much. But if you collaborate, you cut out on a lot of things, and it becomes less expensive and more efficient. I was actually looking at a team that is working on a project, and they are competing by themselves, but they are working on one project for a client. There will be disaster, because if I know information that is going to save us being up the whole night, I won't tell you because we are competing.
I want to outshine you.
I'll
only wait
I'll
until
wait
the boss
until
comes.
it flops and the boss comes, and then I tell them, let's do this, and then it works, and then I get all the praise.
Exactly.
But look, we are doing damage to the brand in terms of our delivery times and everything else. But imagine if we collaborated and worked as a force, as one force pulling in one direction, would get it done faster and would get, instead of just getting praise from the boss that you are smart, the client will even pay you more and say you guys are organized. They'll even pay more, and it's a bonus on everyone.
Even in terms of politics, imagine if the opposition and the ruling party they are collaborating, and someone is actually saying, "No, the way you are doing it, let me come and give you a secret." Then they'll be telling you that no, the way you are doing things, no, we can do this to sort out the issue of the rate. Whilst you're collaborating, but why? We were taught that we need to.
It's always competition. You know, I was actually if you look at the national parliament. Well, it's very unfortunate that we're running out of time, but I'll say this before we go. If you look at our national parliament, if you look at the debates, it's almost as if an idea comes from the other side of the table, the other side will bash it as a bad idea. But if it comes from their camp, they will now claim it's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
So are we saying good ideas depend on who says them, or a good idea is just a good idea?
It's because we're taught we're always in competition mode.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think if ever heard that in Africa, we're always in election mode. So we are always in competition mode. It's always about who is better than this. It's always about the way Jerry speaks. Arthur Marara is better than Jerry. Jerry are now better than Arthur. No, it's end of the day, we've got one mission, and to rather collaborate, work together, and achieve one goal. And we can even do better whilst you're collaborating.
Absolutely.
Better than when we are not, we're competing. So I think in terms of competition, that's where the major, if you notice Indians, do they compete? see their families.
They actually
They can build one house for your aunt, your cousin, everyone is living there.
Everyone is there.
And imagine how much do they save by just having one house?
They save a lot.
How much? Imagine we've got 10 breadwinners in one house to keep,
More
to
money
maintain.
spend, yeah.
It's more money. Because why they don't compete? They know how they respect each other. They know that the grandmother, they know that there is the mother, they know that there is a daughter. That's how they were brought. So it's about the culture. Until we get ourselves, I believe that as Africans, we need to go back and revisit our culture. We used to have kings. We used to have queens. We used to have empires. We used to collaborate. We used to, but when you got this kind of so-called democracy, that's when competition started. That's when even right now, because we are a mixed race, we don't know what we want. That's why we suffer the most. Look at the white people. They collaborate better. They live better. And I don't know.
They
That's-
build better relationships. Absolutely. And I feel like in the next coming episodes, we need to do a series where we compare the poverty mentality and the rich people's mentality. Because I think the difference is within the mentalities, like you're saying. Because really, we are both human beings, with the blacks and the whites, we are both human beings. But the mentalities now that operate our bodies are very different. And I would like to leave the conversation on that note. Do let us know how you spend your $100 and how you're spending money in your businesses, and also what you think about this conversation. More details and more conversations around this topic will come your way. We could not have possibly covered financial literacy in one go. So comment down below which other topics you'd like us to cover as far as financial literacy is concerned, and we'll definitely consider that and run with it. But otherwise, for now, stay tuned, subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.